All right, so what's good, everybody? It's Brendon, and welcome to the first installment of a new series that we're going to have on this channel talking about the road to real estate. And we'll be starting this journey to learn more about real estate investing, of hopes of one day to purchasing a few rental properties or getting into real estate myself and, expanding the asset class outside of what I usually do, which is just mostly stocks and things like that. So, what better way to start off the episode with a young and successful, not only full-time worker, but real estate agent and entrepreneur, Rasheed. Welcome to the channel and welcome to the series, my brother.
Hey, Brendon, appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, so just start off with the basics. Go ahead, tell the people, introduce the people to who you are. I would say, probably start around like end of college or like college career and how you came to be in the real estate industry.
Okay. So my name is Rasheed Oridedi. I'm currently a realtor at Keller Williams Legacy with the Wilson Home Group. My office is based out of Towson, Maryland. So I was first introduced into real estate around 2016, 2017. My father is a real estate investor. So he does a lot of fix and flips, buying homes. I can get into exactly what those things mean later, but I used to help him a lot in terms of clean up his houses, looking for houses, things of that nature. And I told him I want to get involved. And what he told me to do is, unlike the route that he did, he's not a licensed agent. He told me to go get my license and be a real estate agent. So once I got out of school in 2019, I spent some time studying for my real estate exam within the state of Maryland, and I got my real estate exam. I passed my real estate exam January 2020, and I started practicing real estate within that month as well. So I've been a real estate agent for about 2 years now. Part-time, or I wouldn't even say part-time. I'll say I'm a dual agent because being a realtor, you can get calls at any time of the day or, information about properties any time of the day. Even right before we hopped on here, I just showed Brendon I got a phone call about one of my clients looking to put offers on a couple properties. So, it's something that you got to be, around your phone a lot for, but it's definitely rewarding. It's definitely a way to build wealth and definitely a way to, help others build wealth too.
Right. So. Yeah, that's good. So as you touched on it a little bit, so did you want to solely be a real estate agent or did you want to get, your license as to be an investor, or was it kind of a little bit of both? Like you wanted to dabble? Like, how was that process for you?
Yeah, so honestly, at first, it was really just to, have my own stuff going on, like, so be a real estate investor. But as I got into more being a real estate agent, I found it, I guess, it gave me a different opportunity that real estate investors don't have in terms of making income by assisting someone with a transaction. And eventually I can get to the point where not only am I help making income assisting folks, but also, buying my own properties and, buying that under my, me being an agent. So I can save money or make money by investing in my own properties as well as an agent. So that's my ultimate goal I'm not my ultimate goal, but that's my next step in my personal real estate journey.
Right. So basically, as an agent, you can kind of see both sides of like being an agent and also what people do in investing. So it's like you kind of get the best of both worlds and you're also kind of learning at the same time. So like you said, when you want to start doing your own stuff, then you already have like the things that you need to look for and stuff.
Exactly.
Because you already had that experience. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
So that's why I'm taking my time with it a little bit before I really hopped in to like purchasing my own properties and investing in my own properties. I wanted to learn and also, build a capital through just my real estate stuff, what I'm making off real estate, and just keep everything within that realm.
Okay, right. So, so moving on to like the becoming a real estate agent itself. So can you like describe what that process is? And like, is the process to become a real estate agent, like, is it difficult? Is it hard? And like, work like some of the steps that somebody could take today to do that. And like you mentioned it earlier about some of the skills or like the type of person that you have to be to like succeed as an agent. Like, can you also like go a little bit into that? Like basically what it takes to become like a real estate agent?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So being a real estate agent is kind of different. The agent license is differs from state to state and requirements that you would need. So I live in Maryland. So within Maryland, you have to pass a real estate class. That class could be a in-person class or it could be a self-paced online class. So I decided to go the self-paced online class route. Basically, it's a online modules that you have to go through, pass the test, pass final exams. I would say, depending on what you have going on in your life, you can probably get it done within 2 to 3 months.
Hmm.
If you are pretty busy, maybe it might take you like 4 to 5 months, but it's not too bad to pass the class. So once you pass the class, then you also have to take a national portion of the national exam to be a realtor, and also a state portion for the state that you're applying for your license in.
Hmm.
So the state portion has about 60 questions, and I believe the national portion has either 60 to 90 questions. I would have to double check with that. But then once you pass that test with the state and the national portion, then you're all set. You're officially a licensed agent within whatever state that you apply to be in that for. And then the next step, at least within the state of Maryland, is that you have to align with a brokerage.
Hmm.
So once a brokerage is like a Keller Williams, a Long and Foster, a Coldwell Banker, it's a real estate company that has a broker, and the broker basically houses your license. So they're like your supervisor, and your role is being a real estate agent slash salesperson.
Right.
So once you get that, then you're officially a broker. You're officially an agent with underneath a broker, and then you can officially start practicing real estate and assisting people buy and sell houses. And some skills, I would say. I mean, well, in terms of the whole process, I wouldn't say it was difficult, like too difficult. Like a lot of people ask me, like, was it really hard? Like, were you scared or you nervous? Or, I mean, it's not something that's too hard to do. I think you just had to put the time in and buckle down and study for it to test. I'll even be honest. Like me, I passed my national portion of the exam, but I didn't pass my state portion. I missed about one question. So I actually had to
Yeah.
go back and take the state portion like the next week, and I passed it after that. So like, yeah, you might,
Right.
may not pass everything in your first go, but it won't stop you if if you're really determined. And in
Right.
terms of being an actual realtor, like, once you start out, some skills, I think you just got to be a sponge. Despite you passing the class and learning everything that you learn in the class, the class doesn't really teach you how to be an agent. It's really more so you learn like the laws behind everything and understand like different practices, but like the actual being in the field and doing the work, that's where that's what helps. That's where you learn stuff from your broker and your brokerage from. So you really
Right.
learn like how to talk with clients, how to sign an exclusive right agreement, how to put in an offer for a client, how to put in a listing, or how to know to ask the right questions for your clients and people that you're working with. So it's really one thing about real estate is really important to make connections, and also real important to be able to serve your clients with the best of your ability. Make sure they're winning, in whatever they're trying to do. So that's
Right.
I think having good communication skills, good attention to detail, and just being very studious and what you're trying to do. I think those are some good skills to be
Right.
a real
Yeah.
estate agent.
Yeah, I like that. So it's basically like you learn in the classroom, but the real learning comes from like the experiences that you gain from actually going out in the field, doing flips, getting
Yeah,
deals, and doing stuff like that is where like most of what you learn comes from.
not for sure,
And
for
like,
sure.
yeah. And like comparatively speaking, though, like it seems like a pretty straightforward process, and like compared to like other like career paths, it doesn't seem to be as long of like schooling period that you need to be able to get the license. It's just like whatever fits your schedule and if you have time, basically.
Yeah. The only requirement, I believe you have to be 18 and have a high school diploma, at least within the state of Maryland. But other than that, I believe that's it. The only thing they don't tell you is you do have to pay some fees though to join. Obviously to take the test, to take the class, and then also to join a brokerage. You have to pay
Right.
intro, initiation fees, or whatever fees associated. Every brokerage is different in terms of their fees. So I would say at least within the state of Maryland, or I'm not even sure, but in general, I would say have anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 set aside to start up trying to become a real estate agent.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's kind of the same thing. So like I'm gonna be pursuing like my CPA after I graduate from college. So it's the same thing where you have to have like fees on top of learning and like stuff like that to get your license to be a CPA, and then you have to like uphold it and do stuff like that. So
Right.
yeah, that makes sense. So how do you feel like being so in the real estate for like younger people like you? You're pretty young, and so is it harder to get taken seriously as like a real estate agent or like investing, or do you feel like at times you have to like prove yourself to like people that have like years within the game, or like clients may not take you seriously because of like your age, or like do you ever see yourself like running into like problems like that?
Yeah. So I haven't personally ran into too many problems like that. I would say like everybody, even at my office, they call me baby. They say I got a baby face and all this other stuff. I'm only 25. And I started 2 years ago, so I was really 23 when I started doing real estate. So I mean, it's a problem if you allow it to be a problem for you, right? So obviously, with anything in life that you do, like people would prefer someone that has experience, right? You wouldn't try to go to a barber that never cut hair before. You wouldn't try to go to a doctor that ain't never. That's their first patient. You know what I'm saying? Like, so with anything, like anybody wants somebody experienced and that's knowledgeable. But what you can do is that you can leverage experience of your peers as well. So when I joined Keller Williams Legacy, I joined a team called Wilson Homes Group, and they had over 25 years of experience, that I could lean on if I ever had any questions, concerns, or I needed any help. They really taught me like everything I needed to do. So you can always lean on that, and also like a lot of folks, in terms of that are first time home buyers, honestly don't really know up from down, left from right in terms of, what is needed within real estate. So especially for anybody that's trying to be a new agent, working with a first time home buyer is kind of a good territory, or good to work with, because y'all both kind of don't know what's going on in a sense. So it's like, it's not really too many expectations, and y'all can work together and really learn from each other as well.
Right. So just like making connections and like having mentors is kind of important when you're like first starting out in real estate.
Oh, for sure. Because you're not going to know what you're doing at all. Like, you're not going to know what you're doing. Like having someone in your office, someone on your team to really, talk you through what you need to do with whatever transaction you're trying to complete, or how, you're trying to serve your client, or get more listings, or get more buyers, or anything of that nature. Those things will definitely help a lot.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, it seems like a pretty straightforward process. Like you said, just getting experience is like the big thing when it comes to being a real estate agent, and like just getting yourself out there as much as possible is like what helps people like succeed in that area.
Yeah, I would say being a sponge, be in the office as much as you can. Like the amount of deals that may get sent your way, or, just learning things through others. Like I learned a lot of lessons that I didn't have to go through myself. Like someone told me like, don't ever do this, or don't do that, or whatever, like don't ever take a client out to see 1,000 houses and he doesn't have a pre-approval letter. You know what I'm saying? Like, or don't go tell a client that you're going to take care of, and you're going to do all this, but you never got an agreement in writing or nothing like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of lessons that you can learn, that you can learn through others, that you don't have to go through, make mistakes that others already made. So
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so moving on to like now the real estate investing side of it. Like you said, you don't do a whole lot of investing yourself yet, but that's probably like the path that you're gonna go down, and you help people invest. So just for the people out there, and just for me, can you explain like what are some of the type of investments that people can get into when it comes to like real estate investing, and like what would you recommend based off what you've seen in terms of patterns of people? Like, I know there's wholesaling, people flip houses, people rent out houses. Like, can you explain like 2 or 3 like ways that you can make money investing in real estate?
yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned the 3 that I mainly interact with, wholesaling, people that buy houses and hold them and rent them, and also people that buy houses, fix them up and flip them. So they're all, I think they're all good ways of investing in real estate, and they're all different, and they all kind of have, their good, pros and cons. It really just depends on the type of situation that you're in. I feel like they're kind of all like 3 different tiers of doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can start with wholesaling. So wholesaling basically is finding a property below market value, and then assigning it to someone else for a fee, and then having that person can also do whatever they want the property, whether it's they fix and flip it, or they rent it out or whatever. So let's say I'm talking with Susie. Susie has a house for $100,000, right? The house is kind of in bad shape, but she wants to sell. She has to move for her she's an older lady. She has to move. She wants to go meet with her grandkids in North Carolina, right? And she says, you know what? The house is already paid off. I don't really need it anymore. I don't really have an attachment to it anymore. But I need at least $100,000 from this house. Okay, so a wholesaler somehow finds her, and says, okay, I can give you 100 based on the comps in the area. If you fix this house up, I might be able to get like maybe 200 from it, right? So okay, and let's say it only costs like $50K to fix this house up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 150. So let's say I found Brendon, right? Brendon likes to fix houses up and and sell them out for a profit, right? So I say, Brendon, I got this house for you. I can give you this. I got this house under contract for 100. Well, I'm not going to tell you how much I got it under contract for, but I know that I have this house under contract for 100. I'm going to tell you like, hey, Brendon, I can give you this house for $110,000, right? And you like, well, based on the comps, I can sell it for 200, 110, put 50 in it. I can make a cool, $50,000 or, $50,000 from it, or $40,000 from it, and if I fix it up within 3 or 4 months, right? And that's right within what you're trying to make. So I get on a contract with Susie. While I'm on a contract with Susie, I find you to help to assign that contract to you. So then when we close, you pay Susie 110. You pay the title company 110. I take the 10,000. Susie gets her 100. And you get the house for 110, and then everybody wins, right? So Susie's able to get her house off her hands, move. I'm able to get the finder's fee or assignment fee of $10,000, and you're able to get your house for a good price as well, and do whatever you want with the investment wise.
Right.
So that's what.
Right. So that's more. So that's more of like. So that's, sorry to cut you off, but that's more like the quicker, like being the middleman, but it's like hands off, because I'm not the one that's like renovating it, but I'm just out finding deals for other people to renovate, and I'm just making the money off that in between.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So like that's why a lot of people say like starting out wholesaling is what a lot of people do. But obviously, but it's also people that wholesale that that's really all they do. They're professional at it. I know a few people that just do wholesaling, and it's a good way to make money, and it it's seen as an inexpensive way, but it is difficult to find those Susies, right? You have to do a lot of
Right.
marketing. You have to do cold calling, or you have to do a lot of research to find those people that are willing to sell their house way below market value. Because the only way that if Susie came to me and said, well, I need 150, I need 170 for this house, I can't do nothing with that, or you can't do nothing with that. So as a wholesaler, you have to find a property at a certain price point that not only works for you, but also works for whoever you want to assign it for, right? So that's kind of like, you
Right.
do have to do a significant amount of work to find those properties and make sure the numbers work as well.
Right.
So I think that's wholesaling. And so, like, let's just continue with that story. So let's say the numbers were a little different, right? So still 100, still buying at 110, but now you can renovate it for 220 or something like that. 220. That sounds about right. So instead of Brendon actually fixing it and flipping it, he's gonna fix it, refinance it to 70% or whatever he wants to refinance it to, and then start renting it out. So now he got a mortgage on a property, but the amount that he's charging for rent is significantly higher than what he's paying on mortgage and taxes and everything. So that that difference is his now cash flow. So ideal cash flow for rental properties is anywhere between like $500 and up. So so how people look at it is like, let's say I can get 10 rental properties within, let's say, at least $500. That's $5,000 a month right there. That's coming at you every month, first through the fifth, as long as the tenants are paying rent on time. So there's also, a catch-22 with that. So if the properties, you got to make sure you fix up the property right. You got to make sure you can refinance it to the value that you need to, so you can get your mortgage at a certain price, and also you can get your money back from you putting in the renovations and the purchase price as well.
Just for the people out there, can you go a little bit more specific into what refinancing a home means?
Yeah. So refinancing is basically changing the terms of your the loan with another servicer. So let's say you owe Manny $100, right? And you pay interest on that for 12 months at 5% or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And you like, man, that's a high ass interest rate, bro. Like, you feel me? Like, boom, you reach out to me. He was like, yo, bro, like, can I refinance with you? You pay off Manny and we work it out, whatever. So I'm like, all right. So basically, you reach out to me. I'll pay Manny the original loan, but now I'll refinance you at better terms. So maybe it's a lower rate. And so instead of $100, it might be, it might be more or it might be less, but it's let's say it's still $100, or let's say it's $120, but now it's a lower rate. It's at 1%. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just changing it, just having somebody assume the loan and change the terms. And the way it's easy to do it with real estate is that the house that you now fixed up, is the value is greater now. So so now that you fixed it up, instead of you financing it at $150,000, now it's now worth $250,000. So we can refinance about 70% of that $250,000 instead. So that would be the new.
Right. So it's worth more, but you can refinance with somebody else to get a better interest rate. So you make more money on a monthly basis if you're renting it out, basically.
Not only a better interest rate, but for you to pay off what you used to fix it up, right? So you get all that money back when you refinance. So the formula is the BRRR method. So anybody just Google BRRR. That's that will really help you out in understanding how most folks try to do their rentals.
Right. Yeah, I definitely, the Bird method, I heard about that. I did a little research and I found out about that method. And yeah, it sounds pretty easy, but like you said, it takes time. You have to actually find deals and find numbers and get these refinances and stuff like that before you can actually start seeing some money. So it's not easy, but it could be definitely profitable.
That for sure. for sure. And then the
Right.
last thing is just simple fixing and flipping, right? So you find
Hmm.
a property, whether it's through a wholesaler or your own due diligence. You find a property below market value, but it has potential to after repair value, it can be significantly more than what it's currently worth, right? So you find a
Hmm.
property for 100,000, maybe it needs $40,000 worth of work, but once it's done that, it's now worth 230,000, right? So
Hmm.
you know that's the way, like, most people that are like full-time investors, that's what they primarily focus on. So really just figuring out. But the only thing about that is you have to have a lot of money or capital or resources to fund the money. So there are, like, people that finance folks that do that. So, like, they're called hard money lenders or cash that help you finance that, because most banks won't. They want you to live in that house. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you either have to have that money or you have to find a special lender that can lend you that money to do those fix and flips.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
so like moving on to like money and capital, you just touched on that. So in your experience, based off like the things that you've seen with like your average area, like I know every area is going to be different and every like deal is going to be different, but what would you say is like the range of like money that somebody, if they wanted to get started in investing in real estate today, like what range amount of money would they need, and what like would you need this money specifically for? Like, because I know that you need it for like down payments, you need it for like closing costs and stuff like that. And going along with that, would you recommend people doing like straight cash, like only using your capital, or like taking advantage of loans from banks or hard money lenders? Like, what would you recommend and for people to start with?
So it's kind of difficult to say. Like you said, depending on the area, depending on the price point of what type of property you're trying to get, right? And also, like, those three different tiers that I talk about, whether it's wholesaling, buying and renting, or fixing and flipping. So those I will feel like the tiers from lowest cost to highest cost. So
Hmm.
wholesaling, I would say you wouldn't need too much money. It would really just be marketing. I would, try to average like maybe zero. Like, it could be zero. You could drive around and find a house and contact the seller or the owner and figure something out. So it can't be going anywhere from zero, but I would say maybe to $2,000 a month or so. So let's say your high end, and 2,000 is I wouldn't even say 2,000 is high end. That's like if you just starting out, you're trying to figure it out. Because I know wholesalers that spend maybe $7,000 a month with marketing and like they have virtual assistants, researching lists, and so it's a lot that goes into it. But I would say starting out maybe $0 to $2,000. Then that's for marketing. That's for just using any tool like CRMs, any tools. There's tools called like Prop Stream and like memberships to like websites that give you information about real estate, like properties in the areas that you're looking for. So that's what I would say for wholesaling. For buying and holding, it would depend on how you are able to buy and hold and fixing and flipping. I would say it would depend on how you're able to finance your purchase of your property. But I would say anywhere between, if you're fixing and flipping, I would say have at least 30,000.
Hmm.
Because anything could happen in terms of, you thought the fix was maybe only be 15K, but extra 5K came out of there or whatever, or you're buying and holding, you're not able to refinance it to the amount that you wanted to, so you had to leave some money in there. So it's a lot of different variables within that as well. So I would say to be safe, like $30,000. But like I said, you don't have to always use your own money. So there are hard money lenders there. You can borrow from your retirement sometimes to use real estate projects as well. There are definitely different options. You just have to find them.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So, like you worked with, like I said, and you worked with investors in the past, and agents from time to time have So agents have access to what's MLS, like the database for like real estate and properties and stuff like that. So what have you noticed as like a pattern or like a trend of what like investors that you've dealt with, like what are things that people look for in deals, and like how can somebody look for their own deals, whether that's things like, you know, location, neighborhood, renovation costs, like what makes a good deal like a good deal?
Most people that I work with, they look for properties that need work, so distressed properties, or
Hmm.
motivated sellers. So that could be somebody that has a tax lien on their house, or any type of lien on their house. Somebody that has a property that is in a good area, but the property itself is not at retail value. Uh, Most people, like, it really just depends about the numbers and how much you can get for acquisition and repair, and how much the repair will cost. So yeah, that's really what it boils down to in terms of what makes a good deal. Like how cheap can you get it for? How much would it cost for you to fix it, and how much would it cost for you to what would be the value of it after you've prepared it as well? Because that value determines what your margin is in terms of profit. Also, if you want to refinance as well.
Right. So yeah, so in terms of just like when somebody wants to start out, like you said, deals just they're like deals depend on like the different type of housings and stuff there is. So would you recommend somebody that's starting out to start with like single family homes or multifamily homes or duplexes, or it just depends on the deal?
I would say it depends on the deal. You know, get what you can find. It's hard. It's hard right. It's hard out here. It's really
Right.
a seller's market. It's not a lot of inventory, but it's a lot of people looking to buy. So
Hmm.
I wouldn't say limit yourself to anything. But also try not to bite off what you can't chew.
Right.
So make sure you have the means and the resources to get whatever project that you're trying to get done. So I
Right.
was, if you can, I would say try to start off with like a row home or a townhouse, because the detached houses are kind of bigger projects. They may take a little longer, or more things that have to get fixed
Hmm.
within that property as well. So
Hmm.
that's just my two piece on that.
Right. So you just mentioned about how it's hard out here and like it's a seller's market right now, and how just like in investing in like stocks, there's like different type of markets, different types of seasons. Would you recommend people to like wait for like prices of houses to go down before they start like investing into real estate, or are there like still deals or things that can be made no matter what like the market is doing, or like
I
what
think
is
it's
your
always
take on that?
I think it's always going to be deals, and things that are going to be made. You got to also understand, like, I mean, with investing as well, like, there's people that, I'm a dual agent, so I also do work full time, but there are people that do real estate investing full time. Like, this is how
Right.
they pay their bills and how they take care of their family. So they finding them deals. It's like they over these last,
Mhm.
since the pandemic started, they are finding them deals. So, like, it's definitely possible. Make it happen. And one good thing about real estate, for the most part, real estate retains its value. So
Mhm.
even if it might be priced high right now, 5-10 years from now, the value of that property more than likely will go up. Or if not, at least stay
Mhm.
the same. More than likely, it won't go down, just due to
Right.
inflation and everything like that. So I
Right.
wouldn't
Okay.
say you have to wait, but if you would like to, I definitely understand that. But you can definitely get started whenever you would like.
Okay. Okay. And when it comes to like, so like in terms of like investing in real estate, so like you said, you have your license. Your dad doesn't have his license, but he does invest into real estate. So now that you have your license, like, and you see both sides of it, like, what would you recommend for people looking to invest into real estate? Should people get their license, or should people just, try to find like a good agent to work with? Like, what do you recommend?
Uh, so having a license comes with like different responsibilities. Like, I have to disclose that I have a license with any like potential seller that I'm talking to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain fees that I have to pay with my office, or to access certain resources like MLS. Like I have to pay a fee quarterly for that. I have to pay a fee with the National Association of Realtors. I had to pay a fee with the Greater Bigger Baltimore region of associations. I have to be associated with the Board of Realtors as well. So I mean, there are different fees with it, but there are also advantages of it. Like I said, I have access to MLS. All investors are able to have that access. I have access to centrally locked properties that have a special lock that only agents can access as well. When you're talking with folks, also like you having a license behind your name kind of gives you a little bit more credentials. In terms of talking to folks, trying to get them to sell their house or helping them understand, different things within real estate. So I definitely think it helps, but it's not a necessity. I would say it really just depends on the type of investor that you want to be. Like if you're mainly doing wholesaling and buying and holding, it may not be too beneficial for you to get your license, right? But let's say you're full time, trying to be a fix and flipper, it may be beneficial because when you're selling a house, right, you have to pay agent fees on both sides, the selling agent and the agent that helps help find somebody to buy your property. So if I ever, like when I start selling my own fix and flips, right, instead of paying another agent to list my property, I'm going to be paying myself to list my property. So I save at least 2.5% of what I would have paid to someone else, and that adds up. Like that 2.5% is literally how agents make their money. Anywhere from 2 to 3%. So over a course of years and stuff like that, I think it's definitely helpful if you full time fix and flip. But if you're buying and holding and doing wholesaling, I don't necessarily think it's necessary, but it can be helpful or advantageous.
All right. That makes sense, man. So this has been a lot of good information, a lot of nuggets in this episode. So just to sum everything up into like some actionable things that somebody can do today, whether that's like researching, learning up, or getting their money up, like what are would you say like 3 steps that somebody should like start doing today in hopes of in the future of getting started in real estate and investing in real estate as an asset?
Number 1 is networking and learning. Take your time. It's no rush. Real estate is not going anywhere. My father took a year before he bought anything, just learning. So there's so many different platforms. There's Bigger Pockets Network. There's real estate networks like within your local community that you can find. You can also talk with real estate agents as well. They're obviously they're gonna just, hey, come buy this property, but just tell them like you're starting out, like it's gonna need some time, and they'll work with you and help you understand everything as well. So that's number 1, like learning and networking. Finding someone that does what you're trying to do, and even if it's just like you being their intern, like you just helping them out, but you're just learning and seeing everything, how it goes through the way. So that's number 1. Number 2, I guess if you're trying to be an agent, just research, talk. The same thing like with learning, like research what you need to do to become an agent within your state that you want to be an agent for. Make sure you have the capabilities and the resources to meet those requirements, and just plan out your time and get it done. Like I think the hardest thing with that is, especially if you're doing like a self-paced course, is that it's nobody really like making you do it. It's really all on you. So you really just have to be dedicated and disciplined in the timeline and how you want to get your things done. And lastly, save accordingly for the type of investing that you want to do. If you want to invest in houses that cost a significant amount of money to invest in, you should save a significant amount of money. You know what I'm saying? Right. So just try your best to prepare yourself for what you're trying to get into.
All right, I like that. So basically, just prepare make sure you learn, soaking up everything, like you said, be a sponge, get out there, network, and just save up the bread, because real estate has its returns, but it's kind of expensive depending on what you do to get into. So just making sure you have the capital to be able to start investing in it is what you would recommend.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to stop for this episode. My guy, I appreciate you for being on this episode and starting us off with a bang.
For sure, Brody. For sure, Brody. I like what you got going on. I like what you got going on here, bro.
Yeah, trying to network, find some more people, different things, different businesses. We're going to have everybody on here, and with just creating a community to learn so everybody can, get their bread up at the end of the day and make wealth and, do the things that they want. So that's what we're really about over here. And just learning, like I'm learning, like from listening to you, and people can learn as I'm learning, because I don't know everything, like I said, and it's just good to, have stuff like this. So I appreciate that, my guy.
For sure, buddy. I appreciate you having me on here.
Of course. Definitely going to see more of my guy in the future. I'm going to have some videos coming up with him starting his investment account, because he wants to get into some long-term investment and portfolios. So we'll get my man's right with that. Make sure you guys follow him on his social media that I'll have linked down below. And also I'll leave down below his Google review. If you guys learned anything from today's episode, make sure you leave my man a good review so he can get his real estate agent and everything up. Yeah, of course. Stay tuned for the next video in the real estate journey series. Like and sub down below. Comment any further questions you guys may have, or things that you learned from real estate that you could share with the community so we can all learn together. Rasheed, appreciate you again for taking the time, my guy.
Thanks, my G. Appreciate you.
Of course. We'll just call it right there. See y'all in the next one.
All right, y'all.